Hello. Well, I'd like to address something that's been happening has come to my attention, and I think is very important. Brigham Young, that bigot Brigham Young, in the Journal of Discourses, he said, never trust a Muslim man, which is a Muslim. But that's the way they spelt, actually they spelt things wrong all the time back then. And I remember when I first read that, it's like, why would you say something like that? There's no Muslims in Salt Lake or Utah there, or the territory of Utah. But then in the teachings of the prophet Joseph Smith, Brigham Young talked about the Muslims, or Joseph Smith talked about the Muslims, and he talked about how the Christians want to kill the Muslims want to kill the Christians, they all want to kill the infidels, and what would be the end of the blood. So, you know, that's just a side note pretty much to this whole thing. So, anyhow, I never really gave it any thought. I never thought of it as a prophecy or a prediction. Now, here in the last few days, I've seen some articles, one in particular, about the number of Muslims that's coming into the Salt Lake Valley. And I was a little bit surprised to see that. So I called a friend of mine who lives up in that area. He said they're everywhere. I was like, holy cow, seriously, they are everywhere. Now, nothing happens in Salt Lake Valley, believe me, without the Mormon Church. The leadership of the Mormon Church okaying it. And but at the same time, I'll tell you what, the leadership of the Mormon Church, it follows whatever the government tells them. You know, he gets a lot of his marching orders right from the government. And this has been going on for a long time. Because the church is a corporation, which by definition does not live the law of the land. And that's been one of my big issues for a long time with the leadership of the Mormon Church, is the fact that it is a corporation. It's under Admiralty law, maritime law, it comes under several different names, but the fact of the matter is they have to take their marching orders from the United States government. That's why the IRS, that's why the leadership of the Mormon Church doesn't do anything about the IRS there in the Salt Lake or in the state of Utah. They never come out and say anything against it, and yet it is diametrically opposed to the Constitution of the United States. And remember the 98th section of the Doctrine and Covenants, Mormon doctrine, that anything more or less than the Constitution of the United States cometh of evil. And God commands us in that same section to forsake all evil. So this is a glaring fault with the leadership of the Mormon Church. And the Mormon Church excommunicates its members for trying to be constitutional and fighting the Federal Reserve and the IRS. And this all stems from the fact that they no longer, and have it for some time, live the law of the land. So now we got this Muslim issue. Now I want you to all ask yourself a question. Does the First Amendment right allow you to advocate murder? Think about it. Does it allow you to advocate murder? Of course it doesn't. It does not. So how in the world is free speech protect Sharia law? It shouldn't and it doesn't. It shouldn't and it doesn't. Now, I'm hearing that the leadership of the Mormon Church is saying that under freedom of religion, that the Muslims can practice their belief systems in the state of Utah and primarily in the Salt Lake Valley. What a abomination. And that's the only way I can describe it. But again, this just goes to show the 28th chapter of Isaiah. It says they have made a covenant with death, and with hell are they at agreement. They have embraced, they might not come out and say it, but they have embraced Sharia law. and they're protecting it right there in the Salt Lake Valley. Excuse me again. And I want to make a big issue of this. I want to make a point of it, that what's going on. This is truly a Trojan horse. You know, they've allowed the devil in their midst. They've allowed the adversary come within their midst. This is terrible. This is really, really bad. Excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat, so I'll probably be coughing quite a bit here. It needs to be addressed. This needs to be addressed. Now, Defending Utah has come out with some real interesting things in the past, and I've noticed a pattern where a lot of these refugees are being settled in the United States, and I noticed a pattern that they're being settled in a, in a direct line or a direct course where the TPP is going in. Is that by accident, or is that by design? And also, there's a recent article that came out of Idaho that how many of these refugees are being put in positions of law enforcement. Wow, okay. I think this is a pattern, and I think it's by design, that these refugee settlements are going in certain areas to help with the TPP, that they're going to be made into law enforcement. This is getting pretty insane. We're losing our sovereignty really fast. Now, I can't imagine anything worse than Sharia law. I don't think I have to go into the details of it. I'm one of the few people I know that have actually read the Quran, and it's insidious. All we have to do is look over in the Middle East there at the caliphate, ISIS, the caliphate that they're trying to set up, and look at these brutal murders, and primarily of Christians. And we're going to allow this element in our country, and we're going to allow this element in the middle of Zion, in Utah? All is not well in Zion, my friends. I don't care what anybody says. All is not well in Zion. How can we do that? How can we allow this element, which is brutal, and especially to women? Oh my gosh. They treat women like cattle. They got to walk behind their husbands. They have honor killings. They got to wear burqas. They can't talk on a cell phone. They can't drive a car. If the Quran talks about how you can beat your wife. This is, I mean, I really can't even put it into words. And to find out that this is being allowed, people, we got to check on this. We got to get on top of this. We got to ask questions. And one of the things about Sharia law is they allow sexual intercourse with children, little boys, little girls. Are there elements in Utah that are looking forward to that sort of thing? Because I have heard certain things, and I have evidence of certain things where this is there are pedophile rings. There are pedophile rings in the Salt Lake Valley. That's one reason why I react as strong as I do anytime I hear the LGBT, whatever it is, organizations in the Salt Lake. Salt Lake Valley or Utah in general. I come out as fast as I can, and I want to see, I want to see what's going on there. And that was one of the first thoughts that came in my mind. I mean, we know there's a history of pedophilia in religious organizations. The Catholic Church, huge. I mean, it's been everywhere. It's been documented all over the world about these priests and what they have done to these little boys and little girls. All right? And I'm wondering if there's not an element there that is encouraging Sharia law because of that. Now, I'm not going to say any more than that at this time. But we really need to wake up, people. We need to get on the top of things. This is really discouraging. This is very depressing to me. that this Sharia law has gained a foothold in the Salt Lake Valley. Okay, and that's all I got to say about it at this time that I can think of. Yeah, that old bigot, Brigham Young, looks like he might have got it right again, huh? Thank you.